figured I better just wait and make sure we've actually got audio before I disappear again. So let me just hover around until people rejoin on Twitch, hopefully, to confirm it's working. And then I'll go make me coffee. So back on there. Let me chuck this RAM on while we're waiting. Actually, change of plan. We've proven that this now boots. So now let's prove if it really is the RAM. That's what we wanted to do. And then anybody joining back in from the last stream we've just ended, just let me know if the audio is still working. We had an audio issue on Twitch, so we just restarted the stream. Check for shorts. We've pretty much checked everywhere for shorts. There's no shorts, no issues on the power rail. If anything, we get less power draw since doing a few things. We're pretty much at the point where we know where the issue's coming from now. Well, this is the final double check that it is the RAM as one of the issues. So this board boots up. This is the fully working green board with the power circuit completely removed and bypassed. And the working RAM was on and it worked, and we put the bad RAM back on to prove that the bad RAM is still bad. Now, typically, the bad RAM works sometimes, but rarely works. So hopefully, this will prove. This will definitely prove. If this doesn't work when we inject 5 volts, then we know the issue is. Well, one of the issues is definitely that work RAM. Whereas if this now works, the work RAM was a complete and utter fluke, which would be sad, but I think that might well be the case. I've still got a feeling that this was more of a fluke than an actual problem we found. But I don't know. That's just me being skeptical at this point because we've done so much work on it. Let me just also open up my Twitch because it looks like Twitch is a lot slower to start. And check if the audio's on there because it's not even showing a... Oh, there we go, 3 people on Twitch. Yeah, cool. Just about log into it. Right, now I know I've got audio. This is cooling. I'm just going to make a drink and go toilet a second. So I am actually going to mute the audio now so you don't hear me taking a piss next door. Make a coffee and I'll be back in a second. When this is cooled, this will prove for sure that this RAM is dead or not. So this is the second check, bypassing the clean power, so it can't be that. And the only difference now is it worked with the other RAM. This RAM's back on and we want to absolutely prove that that RAM's bad. So just back in a couple of minutes. Right, I'm back. And nobody's in the stream. So we ended a stream with hundreds of people, started it back up with a few. Right, we have the coffee in hand. This is now wanting to boot. And hopefully it doesn't. And I've got a feeling it's going to. Hey, welcome back in. And of course it boots. The RAM isn't bad. Let's wipe the cross off. So fluke, but we've maybe yeah, latte art. That's just me being impatient and removed it from the machine as it's pouring. I'm like, come on, come on, come on, come on, and then pull it away. So RAM is good, unfortunately, but we've now proven a way to bypass the power circuit that definitely works, that doesn't even have to have a power circuit on. So let's put this chip back on and let's just see if we're down to maybe then a power issue, something on the power circuit in some strange way. Because the thing is that when we saw it boot as well, it was corrupt. So that's the other concern. There were so many different things on this that even when we did get it booting on the whiteboard, the video was corrupt. Which, to be honest, we haven't booted. I don't know whether we've booted. We haven't actually booted with video on the green board yet, so we might have corruption on the green one now, even though it boots. But let's see if we can even get this thing booting at all, bypassing the power circuit. This is quite a mystery. Right, that's the known working one anyway. Yeah, no, well, it's catching a bit. I probably won't be too much longer on this because it's I've been on it about 3 hours. I tend to not work on one single console for too long, otherwise you get bogged down and less efficient at it anyway. But we'll see where we can get with this power circuit. Maybe it'll work in the next few minutes, and if not, I think I'm going to have to take a breather from it anyway and figure out next steps, because we are down to some either some oscilloscope probing or some research into well, I say research, I'm going to have to basically reverse engineer it myself and figuring out how this thing brings up and get the oscilloscope probe out. Just let this cool a minute, put this in. Oh, you know what? The one thing we haven't changed is that chip. I forgot. We haven't changed him yet, have we? So he's still a culprit. I totally forgot. We've swapped every single chip now between the working ones, but we haven't done this one because this one looked like it failed, which is so bizarre. We had, you saw it, we had a failing boot on there. Why did we get a failing boot in that? See, it could still be faulty, and it's just hot airing it off and hot airing it on has made it temporarily work on the green board. So it might still be that faulty RAM chip. I wouldn't trust that RAM chip because we've literally taken it off and put it on my working board, and my working board failed to boot several times. And we all saw that, so I would probably swap that. Hey, welcome in from the TikTok chat. I've just noticed I forgot about the TikTok chat on the other side. Right, this is still hot. Let's cool it down a minute. Right then, 78th time lucky. Game's in, audio's turned on, bypassing the entire power rail. Are we going to get audio? No. But this is, it's the power rail. There's something wrong with the power rail. And you know what I know? I know on a way that I can't show you because it's over there. This power draw is 130. If I inject power on this one, on the output side only, I get 130. When the input isn't connected, we've got a break on here somewhere. It's a power issue. Almost confident, well, it is. It's going to be a power issue. It's going to be one of these input diodes, and I bet it's going to be the one of the three that we can't test is not passing power, or the inductor's bad, or a fuse is bad. We are absolutely onto a power related issue here. My spidey sensor's tingling, and I'm going to go with that. That is definitely what the problem is. That's good. Fuse is good. There's a transistor bad on here. This is annoying in one way. We don't know how this power circuit fully works yet. But from simple observation, if I take a game out, this is how we know it's power related. Hey, or do we? Let me do one other thing. Might just be a backlight thing throwing me off. Alright, so power on this board. You're going to have to trust me when I tell you what the power readings are. Inject 5 volts into both. Oh, no, it goes to 170. I thought that went to 200 and odd. Or does it only jump to 200 when it boots? It's still lower. It's still 40 milliamps lower. But this is what was happening when we didn't bridge the input and output. Still convinced it's power. Yeah, so I need to really show you this. How can I show you this? Let me get, because you need to see this so you can understand how it works. We got this, and where's my little, oh, I've used the only other connector, damn it. I'm going to have to cut up a cable for this. Or can I, actually, no, I'm not going to need to. What I can do is get this. I think this will work. What kind of flux am I using? It is Styriflux. So, in fact, I can probably show you on this camera instead now. Now we're on this one. So I use Styriflux HTTF at the minute. Let me zoom in on this a little bit and let me show you what I'm thinking. So if I put power into this, and now, oh no, I can't do that because the output, I do need that converter thing. This is annoying. I just want to show you the power draw. Let me use my multimeter. I definitely need to get that bench power onto screen. I'd pay you to teach me, you can, if you just sub on YouTube or Twitch. I do live only streams, training people, well we will be doing, I've only just started. Live only streams, teaching people how to do this stuff. Right, so I'm going to get my multimeter, I'm going to have to zoom back out now. By the time I've done this I'll forget what I was going to be showing you. Move some stuff out the way. We have my board up out the way. This out the way. Need some more desk space. Those two up out the way. The link, just go on YouTube and then click membership, or go on Twitch and click subscribe. Pretty much. And then when you join that, join discord.gg/retro6, that link at the top, and it will, in Discord you'll be, if you link your YouTube or Twitch, you'll be invited to an elite members chat on Discord. Yeah, the problem with the pan tilt thing, let's go and point at the PSU. It's there, behind the camera itself. So, I can't point at it. I'll figure that one out. So for now, we'll use the ammeter on my bench, 400 milliamps. Now we better go with the 10 amp. Yes, stop complaining that I'm in the wrong probe hole. Right then, from here now, we have ground, ground, and ground can go in there, maybe resting. No, actually that's not what we're doing anyway. Power will pass through this from the positive, yep, positive there. And now if I tap on this, there you go. So see the power draw, how it goes from 170 and then jumps to 200 when it's loaded. That's something that must enable. It must like kick in one of the CPUs and have a clear power draw difference. So 170, 220 when it loads. It's a distinctive jump, alright? So see the jump when it loads. If I remove the bridge, because this is what I was testing before, the bridge to the input. Come on, warm up. There we go. And now I only power the output side. See how we get 120? Oh, to be honest, that looks like it's loaded with the jump, or at least the jump's happened. And this didn't load before. So that's almost like it does load, but you don't get audio or video. So you get that kind of same 120 and then jump, but slightly less. So now let's remove the backlight so that this power draw is the same as the LCD modded one. So maybe it is just a game load issue still. So 120, 170 still jumps as expected and the power hasn't changed. Now bridge the input and output. And so you get 130 and jump to 180. Okay, so maybe it's not a problem that I was thinking it was. If we get the white one now, get the ground, and if we check power draw on this one, exact same setup. We can put the cartridge slot in for the sake. It looks like all we will notice then is we're not getting that distinctive jump. Yeah, I was thinking that when I mentioned the probe hole, I knew that was going to crop up. Right, that goes in. And on here now, 120, and you see you don't get the jump. So whether that's just indicative of the game loading or not, that's a point. Let's try it without a game in the green. That's how we'll know. If not, then it would indicate that some part of the system comes up and enables, and that's not enabling. So no game in this. Power up. So no. All that'll happen is when the game does actually correctly load, you see the power draw. So power draw is actually fine. I thought it was off. So power draw is perfect, and that leads us nowhere then. So we're back to square one, unfortunately. Does it get game audio with the inductor removed? It depends which one. We definitely don't get game audio if you don't bridge the input and outputs, because we just tested that. So the green one's the working one. We've got one chip left we can swap, so the last hope is this chip. I just don't get it. We swapped that work RAM and we had a failed boot, but now maybe the chip was just still warm. Maybe it was just bad luck and the RAM chip we put on was still hot. I had a sense something was too good to be true. So we really are down to the game not load. Well, it is basically the game not loading, but the reason why is literally there's one chip left. Right, so that hasn't loaded this time. Interesting. I don't think this is loading now, but this has got that suspect RAM chip on there that we thought would be faulty. Not that one, the one on the other side. Yes, this is now stopped. This isn't working. So this, I think that RAM chip is bad. You know the one we've said? I bet if we warm that RAM chip up, it boots again. So I think we were right. I think we found that the RAM chip's bad. We just have more issues as well. Yeah, that we've checked the cart slot connector. Definitely works. And we've also checked every chip. We've seen the whiteboard boot about 8 times on and off. But now my green board doesn't work, and it's acting. See, this is acting like the whiteboard did, but we haven't changed anything at all. So the one thing we haven't done as well is fully swap this cartridge connector. Maybe this is intermittently working, but we now, at the minute, we now have two broken systems completely, which is how this usually ends up going. Yeah, so that's acting exactly like the whiteboard did, but we have that suspect RAM chip on there. So I'm going to put that red blob back on that chip. I think that red chip, this one, I think really is bad, and I think depending on temperature and the phase of the moon, this boots or not. So I bet you any money if we warm that chip up, we'll get random boot. If I had a spare RAM chip, I'd just keep it on there. No, we've booted this. This is booted exactly as is. All I've done is literally plugged it back in to do another test. No components or wires have been changed since it worked, and it no longer works. And we literally haven't changed anything at all since. There you go. So that was just the cartridge connector. I've pushed it in a bit firmer. So are we dealing with? Are we going round in circles, and do we have something as simple as a faulty cartridge connector on the whiteboard that was, you know, even though it's perfectly soldered and on and we know it's on, is it just bad? Is it just a, you know, a shit connector? Could it be that simple? Might well be. Let's put this back in. Let's put IPA on. Put this back in. All them pins are fine. Cartridge connector in. Push the bails in. Bails are fully in. Ground on ground. Power on here. No, slightly lower on the power. Let's try moving this around. See, moving this cable is causing different boot. I'm suspecting the most obvious thing at the minute. I think we are back to where we said we were going to start with. I think this cartridge connector isn't the best, and maybe this board is a bit more intolerant of the slightly noisy signal maybe. Where did I get the large silicon mat? Amazon. Type in Leash Boss. Leash Boss dog mat or something like that. It's technically a mat for dogs. So that's a really good indicator of boot. Without, if you had no audio, no screen, that's a really good indicator. Flux in the port, no, it's been dishwashered, completely clean. Traces, we already checked every single one on the previous stream. We've used this exact port in the green one, so it's only this side, and this is a brand new board, and it was dishwashered and it's solid. So we're not dealing with physical connection, but I think we are just dealing with game load. So like I say, we either swap this chip, the one that we say is not been swapped yet, or I get my cartridge connector. Tell you what, let's get my cartridge connector and make another cartridge connector up, just to give us something else to go with, because theirs was pretty bad. So we've got two places we can go: new cartridge connector and yeah, we oscilloscoped it as well. We oscilloscoped every single pin in the last stream, and all of them look fine. But the quality of the cartridge connector didn't look good. Like this green board of the customers doesn't look healthy. But yeah, we oscilloscoped all of the pins, every one, and there was no issue on any of them. We are dealing with something either very obvious, which I think it's going to be at this stage. I think we're going to be dealing with an obvious issue, or that one chip that's left is the faulty chip, which would be ironic that the very last chip we swap is the faulty one, which is not that ironic because it's, once you find the problem you stop looking, so it's kind of the logical end to it anyway if it was that chip. Let's reflow this. Go all the way down. Yeah, any advice, I'm more than happy to take it. It's just that unfortunately I think we've done pretty much everything that everyone's recommending at the minute, but you know, keep firing the advice. That's the way I think. That's pretty much the same process that goes through my head, what I'd do. I'm just going more off intuition at the minute and a feeling that I think it's something obvious, you know what I mean? I think it's like everything seems fine, everything's tested fine. I think Occam's razor comes into play and it's just going to be the most obvious thing. The thing we suspected from pretty much the beginning, that when we looked at the quality of this board and we took the ribbon off, these lifted, that bubbled. So we double checked and probed everything and scoped everything because this was suspicious, but no, that's all fine. But it is bringing me back to still thinking that the first thing we thought, or the first major thing we thought, was the game slot or the game, and I'm still kind of thinking that. I know we've gone through everything now, so it's leading back to that, but let's see. If this doesn't work, we'll swap the one chip left on the entire board that hasn't been swapped. And then after that, I think we're going to have to bloody dig really deep into reverse engineering an oscilloscope probing at that point. So this is my much cleaner and definitely no broken traces cartridge connector. That's on, this in. Where's the probe? There. Flip over, and here goes nothing. What? No power draw? Something falling off? Nothing at all. So that eliminates that. Yep, so definitely not going to be cartridge connector, although see, it's made a change again, moving the ribbon. Could be this actual connector on the board. I'd just like to get that one boot again so we can show that it booted, because we haven't had it boot on this board for a long while. Nope, so let's try our board to prove that our connector still works and that nothing's magically changed. And then I think we're down to that last chip before we are officially out of current ideas. So that's that in, that on, that in. So this is just proving that new connector that was working is still definitely working.
Hello.
Yeah, straight away. So last one, swap that single remaining chip. That RAM is definitely, I think we can agree then, that RAM chip is not bad. We've tested it enough, and I think when we tested it and it failed, it was complete fluke. That it was just too hot probably. No, I don't think we're dealing with, almost certain we're not dealing with bad traces because it's a brand new board. Let's just presume it's this remaining chip. It's the only thing left really. We don't want to melt that, so I'm going to get the aluminium back out. Don't know who, I didn't realise that's what time it was as well, but don't know that number. I haven't got much longer till I need to really jump off and crack on with a bit of work because people are going to be turning up and things. Right, that's... I don't want to take this chip off just because of how close it is to the wheel that I cannot buy a replacement for. This is the reason I don't want to... I really don't want to take this chip off. Right, that is definitely covered, definitely not touching. Let's go for that. Game cartridge is definitely working. We boot it on the other system over and over. So the game cartridge, the slot and the ribbon, we've now used 2. So we can pretty much guarantee now these are not the problem. We've got 2 of them and we can put them in my board and it boots every time. and we can get consistency on it. So yes, I'll swap this one chip basically, and then I think, like I say, at that point I'm out of ideas anyway, and I need to really think about the next approach. It could be something obvious like the resistor packs that measure that send the voltage to the cartridge connector to read data. I'm pretty sure the system is trying to load data and it's not able to, but the saving grace is we saw it boot a few times and it did work, so that's why we're fairly confident the entire system as a whole mostly works. But yeah, it could well be this chip that's remaining hasn't yet been swapped and confirmed. So let's just do the last thing that's left that it could be. Like, realistically, this is the only thing left it could be, but what's the chances of it being there? What hot air gun do I use? It's a Quick 861DW is what I use. That one's off. Oops, I'm opening it. So that's my working one. Definite known working one. We'll now get this one off the whiteboard, which is the suspect, and I'm going to place it straight back down actually before I do that. I'm just going to reflow some of this. Manufacturing defect on the whiteboard, very unlikely. We've never had a single reported fault yet. It's not out of the question, but again, the fact it's already booted kind of rules that out in a way. Doesn't fully, but yeah. And if it's that, it's something we're not going to figure out, because that'd mean an entire new board swap. Oh yeah, this works with. I'm definitely going to be celebrating. So one thing I'm going to have to do is put them resistors back, because I've just nudged them. I knew that was going to happen. These were in place, but I nudged them, just getting this chip off, so I know those resistors were in place. I saw them before I nudged them. Right, now let's get this chip back on. I'm just doing this on this overhead because I want to see what I'm doing, basically, so I haven't bothered showing the overhead. It's an awkward position and I don't want to melt this wheel, so you've seen me swap this chip many times anyway, so you're not missing much. Right, that's on. Get the tape out of the way. No multi-wheels. Good. And then we'll check if this is any good under the scope now. And then quite frankly, I think I've had enough of working on this after this morning. If this doesn't work, we'll regroup and figure something else out. If not, yeah, if it works I need a pint. If it doesn't, then I need a coffee. One or the other. Last game I played last night, Pokemon Emerald. I was going to go on like the VR Resident Evils and stuff, or the AR Resident Evil 4, but I was just more in the mood for a bit of retro. Right then. Green board. Let's check the soldering. And then, if all's good, we don't want this to boot, because we want it to be this chip. So green board still boots, we're shit out of luck on what this could be. Like we're in a ballpark of not good stuff if this boots. So that's on, zoomed as far in as we can get, pull focus as close as we can get. Let's probe these pins because these need to definitely be on right. Otherwise we could get a false positive that something doesn't boot because of the soldering. Good. I don't think we checked them top pins, let's just do them again in case I didn't. So all soldering looks sound. No issues on soldering, so we don't want this to boot. Ground wire. Audio. Probey probe. And here we go. Right, that's good, but I don't want to celebrate because this is exactly what it did on us on the RAM and worked. So let's not celebrate, let's chill. Let this board cool a bit more. Not get too excited. I don't want to touch it again, I want to say that's the problem and leave it and disappear now. Ah, you... I knew that was going to happen. What did I tell you? See, it did a false positive first. So it's not that chip. So we're down to, I literally don't know at this point now. So, just for the sake of it, let's put the other chip back on here, just so it's got a full complete chip. And then we'll go from there, I think. Aluminium tape, some fresh stuff. That's that on there. Chip on here. Now, which way did this chip go on? B on the bottom left. So this is the, oh shit, this is the known working one, but it doesn't matter because the other one's working. So at this stage we're just putting it back on for the sakes, but nothing should in theory change on this because we've already done this. That kind of sucks, so we're down to not many options now, so this is going to have to be a research of looking if there's any difference in the board revision, or basically that, I think at this stage, board revision. Maybe resistor packs we've already checked have failed since. We literally, we don't know at this stage now. But I'll put this back on, dishwasher it clean again, re-inspect visually, and then we are literally going to have to, I think we're going to have to get the picoscope out for the next stage of this, and literally probe around how this entire system gets brought up. And literally find the problem on the scope, basically find out what's happening. And it doesn't help that obviously the customer's console didn't work at all before they've had this work done, so this is having everything done obviously, the complete works. Wheel is fine still. So we don't know, you know, even though we've tested every component, it never did work for the customer in the first place. So it kind of, it doesn't help us because it could be components that test fine on the multimeter or component tester but are failing under load, which is then not a good position because, like I say, it all boils down to needing to figure out this entire system's boot up process, which is what I end up having to do on a lot of systems. Once you get to this stage, it's just this one is grueling. I still want to say it's related to the power circuit. I've got another idea. I'll save that idea a minute. I've got one more idea. Right, so this is the customers. Put the game in. Ow, hot as hell. Stupid board still being hot. There, get ground on. This is way too hot to boot yet, but let's check under the. Oh, we are under the scope. I was going to say check under the scope if we can see anything out at all. Oh, that's a bit too zoomy. There we go. Actually, no, we want it to be more zoomy. Resistor packs are all still on. That one I nudged, but I put back on. Slightly slanted, but he's fine. These pins were all good, we checked them. Resistor pack fine. We've got this mod that we could do on ours, even though we've done it multiple times, just to prove that doesn't prevent boot. There's nothing left on that side. Has anything moved since we've been doing all this work? On this side? Yep, everything is still exactly as it was. So this board is entirely sound for soldering. We know every single chip on this board now is a fully working chip, in the sense that it's gone through a component tester. Other than the main chips we've just checked, all the others went through component testers and worked at the time. It's not saying they haven't failed magically on us. So now, holding on hope for nothing. Let's see if this boots. Where is the where's the probe? There.
Hello.
Oh, fuck you.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Why? Why are you working? Why?
Hello.
I've done nothing. All this work I've done and now you're just working. Didn't do anything.
Hello.
What the fuck? Victory. Don't know why. What the fuck? All we've done is reflowed, effectively reflowed that chip in the resistor byte. I don't know what to say. Is that good? Is that bad? That's kind of shit. I don't know what we fixed. That proper sucks. That's like the worst victory ever. Oh yeah, we fixed a PC Engine GT after 15 hours. What was it? Not a clue. We looked at that solder under the scope a million times on stream. Definitely good. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm lost for words. Maybe this resistor pack, knocking it off, moving it over. Maybe that.
Hello.
Yeah, perfectly booting wicked. Yay. Let's put the screen on, see if the corruption's gone. That's like winning the lottery and not earning a million yourself. That's technically a victory, but that sucks. All that work, and I can only presume, I've got to make assumptions now on what we fixed, and there's no hard kind of that was what the problem was, but we know consistency wise we've checked everything, but we've just literally swapped this chip. And so it's either that soldering was bad even though it looked perfect under the scope, or this resistor pack was maybe slightly not on because we knocked that when we were swapping this chip. They're the only two suspects now. I really can't be bothered to do all the other work at the minute. This is now 3.5 hours in and I'm quite frankly had enough. I'll put the screen on, check we've got no corruption, then I'm going to take a break. But yeah, it's working, so hopefully. And see, the thing is, it might well have been the soldering on that chip, because this does the audio and video, and when it was randomly booting the audio and video, well, the video was corrupt, so that's our best guess at the minute, is that chip was maybe just, even though it looked perfectly soldered, wasn't soldered. That's like, that's the only thing I can logically think, is we hadn't quite soldered that chip on well, even though we can go back on stream and take a screenshot, and to me it was literally factory finish flawless, so that's why I can't see it being there. That's annoying. I want to know why it's fixed more than I care that it's fixed, to be honest. Right then, 5 volt. 5 volt can go. Where did it go? Did I ever do photos for the wiki, or have I still not done the wiki of this LCD install? No, I've done the wiki for this, haven't I? Bum bum bum. PC Engine GT. RGB install. Right, 5 volt is this one, is it? Pin 1? Huh. CN22. Rotate it around. 5 volts, pin 8. Oh yeah, so 5 volts, pin 8. So we need to go on a bit of flux for this. You get all the pins on here, and C-Sync was on top of there. Remember that one at least. Yeah, I literally don't know. The most logical thing is my soldering looked good and it wasn't. That's like, if you look at it from an outsider, I've swapped a chip, the swap chip works, I've put another chip back on, and it works. The literal most obvious answer is my soldering wasn't good, but I'll have to go back on the stream and look at the close-up footage of that soldering, and maybe we didn't touch all the pins, maybe we didn't test that they were pulling. The other thing it can be, saying that, I know what it more than likely is. What you sometimes get is a hairline join underneath the black chip. So you'll have like a wick of solder that where the pad legs extend under the black chip. You'll have a hairline solder, a really hairline solder under the chip that you can't see by eye, and sometimes you don't even see under a microscope. I've had that a few times, but normally reflowing the chip works, and I think because it also then kind of adds up that when we were reflowing it with hot air near that area, that's what made it boot. So I bet we were blowing a tiny little fleck of solder wick or a strand of desolder wick or something, I think, was in that area, because that's the area when we said we got it intermittently booting. That was the place it was intermittently booting at when we were hot airing. So it's more than likely going to have been bad solder in that area. But it's really bad luck, because that's added like, what, probably 5 hours to this repair. That it would have effectively worked first time. If it wasn't for that, then we would have had a perfect instant clean boot the first time. But that's how it goes. And the customer hasn't paid for all that extra time. He's only paid for the diagnostics of the thing not working. Come on, depth perception. I need microscopy, really. And then, and of course I think I've soldered the wrong wiring anyway. C-sync, B, oh no, I haven't soldered the right one. C-sync goes up here, I know that much. B is not there, red is next. HSRM2, what's that? Yeah, if you got a timestamp, somebody can look back and let me know, or I can jump back after. Ground is, I think oh no, we haven't put blue on, which is this one. I did knock them resistors, by the way. If you're thinking it's them little resistor packs by the chip, I knocked them when I removed the chip and knew I had, and then moved it back in. But before I took the chip off, I purposely looked. A long chip that's RAM. Be one of the RAM chips. What moved? Like, what was it? As in when we were soldering, or either gives a bit of context, or we'll look at the video as well on a timestamp. Right, that's the screen on, I think. So what we had last time was screen corruption. Hopefully this time we don't, otherwise that I think will finish me off at this stage. If we still have that screen corruption. We've put the multimeter away, so we're just going to bench power this now straight off. Right, power up, and what do we reckon? It's not going to work again now we've touched it.
I don't know.
There we go. Perfect screen. So we've officially fixed it, that's for sure. Zoom out so you can see them lovely fingerprints on that protective film.
I don't know.
There we go. Working, done. I'm having the day off. To be honest, I might. for a half 5 o'clock start, and that amount of work that early on, that was ready to kill me. So it was the last chip. Either it was the very last chip we swapped, or much more likely, something in that area was, even though we literally said the solder looked perfect and everything, we've multiple times checked it for solder. I've even got a photo on my phone of the solder. I think it's got to have been solder under the chip that reflowing it has effectively removed a hairline bridge. Yeah, that was a journey. Right, I am definitely done. That's worn me out. Yeah, all done. I'm going to probably look back on the streams, see if we can figure out where, because it's kind of... no, I'm not going to try the clean power for now. I'm tired. I will do, though. I'll get it working. Sod it. Why not? Slave drivers. Let's put the clean power back on. Victory isn't enough for you guys, is it? You want all the bells and whistles. Right, you're coming off. You're coming back over to there. I bet I've not even got the wires free anywhere now. I have to make some more wires. Give me that wire. You're on there. Ground wire. You're on there. Right then, that's there. We need now the boot wire, and we'll power it from the power switch. That's all attached. This can now grip onto the input wire. So this is with a clean power booting as it would fully. So yeah, clean power, no issue. The issue is literally something under that chip. The 266 F08365. The other side maybe. Let's take this power off before we touch anything. 367, is it? 365. Yeah, so this ram down here, we reckon that pulled in more. The thing is, either way, whatever it was soldering, because all the chips that are now on this are on my green board. So whichever it was, the chips aren't the problem, it was the soldering. So maybe it was either this chip or this chip. More than likely this chip, because it literally, we've had that chip on, it didn't work. We've warmed up from this side and we've already checked from that chip reflowing. So even if this was pulled in at some point, after it pulled in, we powered up the board. So we've had it powered up regardless of where that chip was at the time. It wasn't booting here, and then we've hot aired this, and obviously then booted. But are you saying like reflowing this chip after we've then looked around, this chip's in a different position? In which case, obviously, either way, it's definitely something in this area wasn't quite reflown right, basically. You guys are definitely slave drivers. This is all working, now test yours. I don't want to. I've had enough. I'm sick of these things. This this one in here. Level. Hey, right, you can sod off if you think I'm putting a clean power on this. We're going to bypass the boot with a wire. Yep, cool. I'll take a look back at that video, see what moves. And like, obviously, when I was putting the new chip on, it will have moved because I placed it down. You know, I swapped the chip, placed it down, and let it pull into position. But that was a new chip going down. If that's the point you're on about, that was literally when I was purposely putting another chip on, and that's what happens. But yeah, I'll have a look at the footage. But 100% it's going to be solder related. Like, some part of this. Me putting the chips down hasn't worked there, basically. Right, we've got that on there. Do I need anything else? Hopefully not. Power. Audio. Stabby stab. Hello.
Hello.
I don't think it says hello. I think it says Vinow or something. But yeah, both working.
Hello.
Vinow. That says coffee now. Right, I'm officially done. 2 boards working. I'll do all the buildy up shit after. And I'm, yeah, I'm going to chill a bit. I'm going to have half an hour off. So thanks everybody for joining back in. That was an absolute marathon, but we finally got that PC Engine working. So really, if my presumption would be, and it might be, I'm pretty sure it would be right, if we'd have got that chip without the short the first time, the whole board swap in the first place probably would have fully worked, like everything would have worked fully. I know the customers had to have a clean power upgrade, which I did for free. I did the cartridge slot connector for free as well. So, you know, we've had a bit of work done for free, but ultimately the first part of all that work, we would have been on victory straight away. But I guess then it wouldn't have made as much fun for the stream for you guys, even though I don't want to see another PC Engine now for a while. That's me done. I'm not even going to clean my desk up. I'm literally getting out of this room, going for a chill, and I'll come back later. I'm going to have at least half an hour off, if not an hour. Yeah, so when I knocked a bowl of solder, yeah, I'll jump back 15 minutes ago, so probably like a 50-minute mark roughly. 45, 50-minute mark, I'll have a look back and see what you're on about, but yeah, we've got this one fixed, luckily. DJI drones we don't work on, unfortunately. Sorry, I completely missed all the TikTok chat. I was giving up on life doing that fix. Let's have a quick look through. Shout out from the Philippines, welcome in. Yeah, the customer might be watching, he might not be. This whiteboard is something I've made, yes. This is a complete clone of the green board. So that's what that one is. You can ask a question about the Game Gear board, but to be honest, I'm literally jumping off right now. You can either ask on the next stream or jump on Discord and I'll answer there later. No ICs are dead, by the way, on this. This was purely solder in this area of the board. By swapping this chip off and putting it on the green board's got the other chips on and everything works. So the chips weren't dead, but by reflowing the chip in that area, we've fixed it, so it's got to have been solder under there, basically. Yep, oh yeah, Rusty will definitely get a treat for that. Right then, guys, I am officially going off. Catch you guys probably tomorrow now. I don't think I'll do one later on, but we'll see.